previous session, we checked about introduction to data science. Now, as I told you, this data science consists of data analytics and machine learning. So data analytics part has like Python, NumPy, Pandas, Power BI, Tableau, SQL, exploratory data analysis, statistics. So that part we are going to cover first, and then later we have machine learning. So machine learning is, I gave you the introduction, like training the computer. So let's have introduction to Python. In Python, we have various concepts. Now, what is Python? Now, as we all know that it is one coding language. So what is coding? The language which you and computer understands. So Python is high level language, high level as in English like statements, where it contains all the concepts of high level languages like Python tokens, keywords, literals, identifiers. Now, what are tokens? Tokens like data structures, we use various data structures, data types. Okay, what is data structure? Now, imagine that your computer like a memory. Okay, so imagine your computer like a memory. So where uh, suppose I have a computer memory is like a kitchen room. So where we are storing various type of data. Like suppose I want to store student data in computer. So I have various type of data. I have integer data. I have floating point data. I have character data. I have image. Like if I am storing student information, student ID is integer, student name is string, then marks are floating point numbers. I have a student image. So image is BLOB, that is binary language object. We have different type of data. Now, imagine you go into the kitchen room. So you have various jars, like sugar is in different container, salt is in different container, and they have kept in on different shelves. Imagine you go into the kitchen and dump everything in one big container like sugar, salt, and all the spices. The next moment you'll be murdered, right? So that is why, because you cannot retrieve anything easily, you cannot use whatever you want easily. So that retrievement, that fetching of data, if we want easy fetching of data, so that we use it properly, fetching, retrieving of data. We use data structures like this particular slot is integer, this particular slot is floating point number, string. And in that integer slot, we are going to keep a container that is variable. Suppose I have A and I have a data 5 in it. So 5 is a data, A is a variable, and it is of the type int. So integer is a data type of it. So these are tokens as I was talking about. So what is token? And like keywords, token, literals, identifiers. Now identifier is a variable. A variable is a container which holds data. As I gave you the example of int a equal to 5. So if I say over here int a equal to 5, so int is a data type, and I have a as a variable. Now, suppose I want to write a program out of it. So I will take online editor, that is Replit. So suppose I have to have an integer. Now, integer variable takes 2 bytes of memory to store, as we all are aware of it. Okay, let's start. So I'm sharing my screen. I'm going to open Replit. So I'll use my first template for Python. So suppose I ask the user to enter a value, then I just have A equals. So suppose I want to enter an integer value, and I ask to input. So it will ask me to enter a number. So this is a number of integer type. This is how we ask or declare integer type in Python. Suppose I want to print that variable. So you can say value given. So whatever we want to print has to be printed in double quotes. And if I want to print a variable, it has to be outside the double quotes. Then it prints the variable. Suppose I have 9 to be entered, then value given is 9. It prints so. So that is what I meant with keywords, literals, and identifiers. So now Python is official language at various companies. Now, Python is robust, we say. Why robust? Suppose I want to talk to any device. Okay, there is a OBD device which is connected to car and it gets the information like how much clutch is uh, applied, how much brake is applied, what is effect on the engine. Now that information from the device is retrieved from the SIM card. There is a SIM card in the device, and from that device we take a information. Now, if I want to talk to the device, I have to make a HTTP request, and that request is made using Python. We cannot do it using other languages. Now, suppose I want to talk to any machine, if I want to do data analyzation, if I want to develop a AI using Keras and TensorFlow, so we use Python. So Python is robust language where we can use it in various applications. So most of the companies use Python. We can develop a web application using Python Django framework very beautifully also. So they are big giants like Netflix and Google. Most of them use Python for their development. Even AI, to develop AI, we need Python. So we use Python in various domains like social media, Google or WhatsApp, all these chatting applications, marketing applications, automation applications, robotics, chat GPT, all these use Python, healthcare sectors, traveling, like booking the flight tickets, sales, credit and insurance. So all these use Python as their main basic domain. Now, Python is case sensitive. By case sensitive, I mean capital H, small h, everything is observed, like hello is not equal to hello. Okay, both are not same. Whereas in HTML, it is not case sensitive, but Python is case sensitive. Python does not have command terminator. It does not have any command terminator, or we do not use any semicolon to end the line. So comments in Python, we write in hash. Like for example, if I want this particular to be commented, this particular program, so this accepts the value of A. So I can give hash and say accept value for A. So now this does not print, it is a comment line, it does not print it. Okay, so that is the comment. And Python supports multi-line statements. So suppose I want to have a multi-line statement. So I can put backslash and I can write multiple lines in one line itself. So Python tokens. Now, what are tokens? As I told you, uh, variables and tokens. For example, like suppose I want to have the value A equal to 7, B equal to 4, and I will say C equal to A plus B. And then I'm going to print sum of A and B is. Now I will print the value, that is C. So A, B, C are variables. Those are known as tokens. Now A, B, C are variables, and then I have a printing statement over there. We also have operators in Python, like literals are constants, and then operators are plus, minus, multiplication, division. These are arithmetic operators. We have different type of operators. One is arithmetic operators. Arithmetic operators are plus, minus, division, multiplication, and then we have comparison operators, greater than equal to, less than equal to, and then logical operators and or not. Then we have identifiers like A, B are identifiers over here in the particular example, A, B, C. So identifiers are like variables, the container which stores data. Then we have keywords, if, for, while, etc. Now, literals, we have different type of literals, string literals, numeric literals, Boolean, special, collection. Okay, string are like any name. For example, Eureka today is a numeric 10.2, something like that. Boolean has true or false. Then special kind of literals are none, like collections, set, tuple, list, directory. These are collections. Now, these are some of the keywords which are used in Python, like false, none, true. All these keywords cannot be the name of the identifier or cannot be the variables. So we cannot have the keywords to be variables. Okay, so now we have incentive. Suppose I'm going to have a variable incentive and total salary. Total salary is basic salary plus incentive. So for example, I have incentive equal to, and then total salary plus incentive. Okay. Then I print the total salary. So I have a total salary over here. So you can have any variable. So you can have underscore for a variable name in between. And you can use any of the operator along with it. Now, suppose we are doing some conversions. So we also have type conversions, like integer to float, float to integer, we can convert directly. Okay. Or we can have integer to floating point number. We cannot have integer to string. Now, one best example I'll show you. Suppose we are using something. Now, this. Suppose I will ask A equal to input, enter value of A, and B equal to input, enter value of B. Now suppose I say C equal to A plus B, and I'll say print sum is C. Now when I run this, value of A is, suppose I say 6 and value of B is 3. So it should give me 6 plus 3 is 9, but instead it will give me 63. Why? Because it is doing a type conversion. I have not specified explicitly that A is integer or B is integer. So if I do it as integer now, okay. So A is integer, B is integer. Now it gives the correct value. So before giving it any type, it will convert itself into string. So that is what known as type conversion. But when we specify it properly, it will work as defined, like we are specifying it into proper terms, proper data type. Now, what all we covered in the session? We covered Python basics. What is Python? Introduction to complete Python. We covered it is a high-level programming language. It has tokens. It has identifiers. It has various things in it. Now, yesterday we saw introduction to data science. In the further sessions, you'll be learning more about Python in detail, some programs, Python with turtle, functions, loop, if conditions, and so on. Let's meet in the next session. Bye-bye. Now we will be checking deeply about operators and variables in Python. So there are various operators I also discussed in my previous session about operators in Python. We have arithmetic operators, we have logical operators, comparison operators. So arithmetic operators Once the operator is plus, if operator equals plus, then I'm going to print you have selected addition. Now, I want my output to come in the next line. To come in the next line, I'm going to say slash n and say number one is a number two is B and addition of two numbers is A plus B. The same, I'm going to say L if the operator is minus, subtraction, and then I'll just change over here subtraction. So when I run this, it'll ask me the first number, it'll ask me the second number, it'll ask me the operator. Addition is 15, it is saying perfect. So when I run once again, if I give the same numbers and I give subtraction symbol, yes, I have not changed the symbol over here. And now I'm going to take again elif operator and I will say multiplication and I will give multiplication. So change over here product and I will do multiplication symbol. And I will print the same. I can say division. So I have the same over here. So it gives division of the number is 1.6. So I have taken A and B as an integer, but the answer is floating point number. It automatically has done the type conversion. So this is known as type conversion, where automatic type conversion happens. So we just checked the basic calculator, that is operator program. I hope you have understood it very clearly. Once again, we will revise. So I've taken two variables, A and B, and the operator to be asked plus minus multiplication division. And I have selected the number. So if operator is minus, or operator is plus, or operator is multiplication, or operator is division, we are going to perform it in a else if ladder. So if here is a conditional statement. So now what is conditional statement? Now conditional statement is a statement in Python where it has two answers. So the answer here will be either true or false. So if condition flowchart goes as follows. So if in the flowchart is denoted as a rhombus, where it has two answers, yes, no. Like for example, if it rains today, I will go to school, else I will not go to school. So if it rains, so if is a condition here. So if it rains, it has two answers, yes or no. So whatever will be yes or no, it will be in the form of true or false. Those are Boolean variables. So in Boolean, we have either true or false, that is 0 and 1. So we just had a basic calculator using operators. Now, the same, I'm going to show a simple program for multiplication table. Now let's see how multiplication table works. So let's see a program of multiplication tables. So I'm going to have another repeat. Okay. So let's do the multiplication table. I'm going to say in print statement, multiplication table of multiplication. Okay. And I'm going to ask user the number, which multiplication table do I need? So I'll ask the user number is equals to int input. Enter the number. Now, I'm going to say for I. Now, for is a loop. So loop is repeating something over and over again. So until my condition is satisfied, I'm going to repeat. So I'm going to use an operator. So number multiplied by so I'm going to use this I as a variable. And then again, number multiplied by I. So let's give spaces in between so that it looks a bit better. So when I run this, it will ask me the number. If I enter 12, so it will give me 12 table. So this is perfect. So if I give as 11, it will give me the 11th table. Perfect. So using operators, we did calculation, that is basic calculator. We also did multiplication of tables. We also checked variables, that is A, B. In this case, multiplication case, we had N as a variable. Now we already built the calculator. So in calculator, we had arithmetic operators. We also had comparison operators, like whether the selected operator is equal to. So equal to comparison operator we have used. We have bitwise operators, that is and, or. Okay. We have shift. Now next after and, or, this operator is known as right shift. This operator is known as left shift. This operator is known as exponent, negation, that is complement, and this operator is exponential operator, like power of 2 power of 3. So 2 raised to 3 is 8. Now, membership operator are in and not in. Assignment operators are equal to, and you're assigning some symbol to a variable. Then you have logical operators and or. Then we have identity operators is and is not. So these are the operators used in Python. We also observe about variables and how we can assign a element or a value to a variable. It may be string, it may be a character, or it may be a integer number. Now, we also can check the program over here is swapping of two numbers. Suppose we have a number A is 10 and B is 20. If I want to swap them, I can either do it with a temporary variable, but if we don't want temporary variable, then we use the logic of A plus B, A minus B, and A minus B. So using this logic, we can easily swap the number. You can also try it, which is there on the screen. So if suppose I have given A as 10 and B as 20, after swapping, it will show A as 20 and B as 10. You can see the output over here at the right-hand side of the screen. We also have swapping of numbers using bitwise operator. So suppose I do exponential, a equal to a power b, b equal to b power a, and a equal to e power p. Gives the same output. All these are without using temporary variables. Now suppose a is 10 and b is 20. So 10 to the power of 20, 20 to the power of 10, and again, what the answer is, you have to take a power to the b. So this exchanges the values without using temporary variable. Now, what is input? So you already studied print statement. So print prints as it is on the screen. So whatever I print, it prints as it is. Input takes the value from the user keyboard, as I showed you. We can also do it with the help of try and catch block. So suppose I input a value, I enter an integer value. Else the value entered is not an integer. Suppose I enter an integer value, I'm going to check whether it is an integer value or not an integer. So we have three kind of values in integer: positive, negative, and zero. So we just did a multiplication of table. I just took it in a loop. So loop is repeating something over and over again over the iterations. We also have an example of splitting. So suppose I say all-rounders, batsmen, and bowlers. So enter the value of three different variables. I'm going to take three variables and I'm going to enter the values. So suppose I enter the value of 344. So it will take in a different way. So it will print the number of all-rounders as all-rounders, number of batsmen as batsmen, number of bowlers as bowlers. So this allows us to enter multiple number of input at a time. So split is a function which allows you to enter multiple inputs at a time. So as the code example, you can see over here, I have a variable all-rounder, I have a variable batsman, I have variable bowlers. So if I ask to enter the value of all three and with the split function, so if I enter 3, 4, 4, it will take all the input. In case I do not take a split function, it will take only 3 one time as a variable. It will not consider 4 and 4. So split function is important to consider multiple inputs at a time. Suppose we want to try any of the 4 functions using exception handling. So what is exception handling? There are 3 types of errors to know. So we have something known as error, bug, and exception. The first one is bug. So bug is created by the programmer, whether case sensitive language you have done some mistake or some semicolon is missing, some of the inverted comma is missing. So that is known as bug. Error is created by the user. Suppose I'm trying to open a file which is not present. So that is an error. So bug is caused by the programmer, any syntax or logical error. Error is caused by the user, and exception is prompted by the operating system or a system. Like for example, memory index out of bound, divide by 0. These are exceptions. So when we divide anything by 0, the memory goes in an infinite loop. And that is an exception thrown by the system, which system cannot handle. So the exceptions which system cannot handle or may occur which cause some problem to the memory or the system, that time we use exception handling. So we are going to use try and catch block in exception handling. Like we have try block to do something and then exception handling, what error to be accepted or what error to be handled. So this is what we studied in this particular session. We studied about variables, we checked the program of calculator, we checked the program of multiplication table, and so on. Thank you so much. Let's see in the next session.